Yeah, so that's a point that really resonates strongly with us. I mean, there's so much stuff both to the left and right of putting data into a model, and those are the sorts of things that our platform, Chariot, really focuses on. So the first thing is that many of our clients have a lot of different types of data. They might have tabular data, images, video, free text, time series data. So the first question is really just like, given a data point, what models do I have accessible that I can put the data into? And so, important feature of our platform is the warehousing of models and databasing of them so that they're queryable, for example, based on input type. And then the next thing we focus on is, okay, maybe, I have data, I have a model that's applicable to it, but do I really want to trust this model, the output? Do I really want to trust the output of this model on that data? So that previous question is like, what can I actually physically put this data into? But then this question is, do I want to do that? Can I trust what the output is? And so this is important because many machine learning algorithms, and in particular deep learning algorithms, are notorious for being very confident when they give wrong predictions. In the case that what you input is kind of different than the training data that was used to develop that model. So for example, if I have a data set of cats and dogs and I train a model on that to discriminate between them, I can do that really well, but then if I plug in a picture of a car, it's likely going to say, for example, hey, this is a dog with high confidence. And obviously, you don't want to trust that and rely on that. So a big effort of our data science team goes into developing and implementing methods for gauging the trustworthiness of a model. So suppose now you're in the case where, you have a data point, you have a model that's applicable to it, you've determined that you can trust it. And so now you want to run your data through the model, but then what? Like, what do you want to do with the result, the output of that model? Ultimately, an organization of business, they want to use that to make a conclusion, an action, decision, etc. on that prediction. But that decision might not be immediate, or you might want to make decisions on it, now and also in the future. And so you want to be able to store the inference of that model in a database for later use, or so it can be fused with other things later. So another big focal point of Chariot is the ability to store inference results so that they're queryable and actionable. So I mean, take an example of, if you're a customer that has a lot of free text data and you want to run a, say, topic model or on it so that you can tag every document with the topics that appear in it. You want to store these so then later, you can query and say, hey, show me, all the documents that, talk about Austin, Texas, for example. And then even though if the action you want to make on that data is immediate and you're never going to use that inference again, you still want to store that often because you want a record of what went into a decision. And so that's kind of like the last thing I want to talk about, which is a big highlight of Chariot, and which is the auditability of data pipelines and AI. You want to be able to get a complete audit of an entire data process. So, say we have this pipeline where we start from some raw data, and then it gets pre-processed, and then we do this model selection we talked about. Then we finally, run the data through the model. We store the results somewhere, and then downstream we make some decision or action based on analysis of those results of the model. And that analysis, maybe it's automated, maybe it's a data analyst. But what you want is to be able to have complete lineage where you can go backwards and see what went into that final decision. So go from that decision to what were the model inferences that influenced that decision, what were the models and data that made those model inferences, how the data that was put into that model was pre-processed, what training data and methodology went into training that model. So you have that complete kind of picture of exactly what happened to produce a decision. I hope that gives a good kind of picture of how we view, at Striveworks and through our platform Chariot, this data process is a very holistic thing, and model development is very fun, but there's so much more to it to make it actionable, and that's really what we focus on.